Absolutely. Lots going on. Okay. Very scary stuff. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I'll just go over here. How about that? Yes, here we are in America. 1776 revisited. Old-fashioned shenanigans. The stuff that's going on right now, you have to remember, I lived and worked in movies and TV for 20 years. Saw it from so many different angles and whatever. And one of the things I really enjoyed was being involved in writing. Hello, Diana. And one of the shows I worked on, I consider myself very fortunate because most of my work in Hollywood was grunt work of some kind. But I did have some amazing opportunities and experience, things that could have basically put me onto a completely different life to the one I'm living right now. But I have some very, very, very tragic Chiron issues in my own personal chart, so I never really expect much of anything in terms of destiny and career. Yes, things are getting pretty spicy. The point I was trying to get at is that different projects are written in different ways. Sometimes you have like a master genius who creates the whole screenplay and the world and all the ingredients and everything. You know, sort of like Tolkien, you know, The Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings type of stuff. And at the other extreme, you have like high-powered, high-speed sitcoms or episodic dramas with, you know, season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and so on and so on. It's a different way of creating content. And in one of my favorite jobs, it was basically a sitcom. And there we are. Everyone's working in the studios and out on locations doing ridiculous stuff. And there, way up in the offices, in the creative department, there's the writing room. And inside the writing room, there'd be anything from 7 to 13 writers, 4 days a week, sitting around a big, like, table set up. And around the outside, hovering around the outside, would be Greg, the executive producer, original creator, trying to corral the writers into getting the vision out there on paper, on the script, to deliver the story. Hello, Necessary Truth. Good evening. And I can tell you from observation, because I was very lucky to be invited in a few times to the writing room. And I actually even made a loose connection of friendship with Greg. And sadly, again, that. Anyway, but inside the writing room, basically what happens is you have a bunch of insane crackpot, highly imaginative people who take on the roles of the different characters while the creator is setting out the guideline for where the story's going to go and has to go, and to keep the theme rolling. And it's a huge amount of work. And it gets really, really frenzied. Sometimes it's really aggressive arguments, but a lot of times it's just hilarity as all the different members of the team come out with their wacky ideas, and each member of the team would be allocated to play the role of a certain character. These writers are not actors, but they would sort of, brainstorm what would happen. And out of the brainstorming, it would turn into a screenplay or a script, And over the last, recent frenzy, the last couple of weeks, while we've been going into this immense crescendo, astrological crescendo, I've been having a lot of flashbacks of my life in Hollywood and what it's like on the creative side as they come together to create these insane storylines, like you would have in like insane action movies, jets and helicopters and zip ties and black guys in black operations, shootouts, assassinations, immense power struggles between good and evil, and somehow or other we got to make it all happen in 2 hours on the screen. Yeah. Anyway, it's quite a phenomenon, quite a process, but in the background I was thinking, wow, everything that's been happening the last couple of weeks feels just exactly what it's like being in the writer's room when they're crafting, doing huge amounts of what's called development, project development and crafting to get the script and the screenplay locked down to its finished format, ready to produce. Sometimes they're doing that live in real time. I used to work with the Coen brothers on several different projects. And I learned a lot from those guys in different ways of coming up with screenplays and everything. And every now and again, live, real time, while you're right in the middle of shooting, even though you've locked in the script, something goes a little bit wacky. And they realize, wait a minute, this isn't actually working like we thought it would. Okay, so everybody take 5. The writers, Coen brothers would go in to have a conference with the directors and the second assistant directors and the producers and so on. Like, what are we going to do? We got to rearrange this. We can't have him doing this or her doing that and that. And so they come up with an idea and they fix it in real time. And sometimes it gets very intense, very, very scary. What was it? There was a movie I worked on called The Sum of All Fears, like some sort of weird disaster, end of the world movie or something, political stuff. This is decades ago, and a few of those incidents happen. Also worked on a few Michael Bay movies, and when you work with Michael Bay, you know there's going to be vast amounts of money and explosions and movie extras and things like that. Same thing with Spielberg movies. I've worked on several different Spielberg movies, massive spectacles, and it's all captured on camera, and then it's condensed and turned to something that looks real to us. We go to see it. You pay good money to go into a large room that's blacked out, and then you watch the images unfolding on the screen, and it's the way of telling a story. It's very, 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 very Neptunian. The process is hyper Neptunian. The whole of Hollywood is like a Neptunian mind game. And what's real and what's not real. And of course, we're having a lot of that unfolding in real life right now. A lot of people are realizing that, wait a minute, real life is actually not comporting very well with the real life that we're being told is real life. So what is real life? Neptune. Are we all on psilocybin? Are we all on mushrooms? Are the writers of the script, are they all on mushrooms? I don't know. Anyway, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for being here. I've got a couple of things here. I believe I owe you one. Necessary Truth. If you want to, we can put that on rain check for another time. Also, I owe another one to Jessica Bergeron. Okay? I think she's up in Ontario. I don't see her here in the chat right now. But anyway, I've got them. I haven't forgotten. So, where do we start? I want to go over a few things that have already culminated. As you know, we just came through a kind of very bizarre, weird, spectacular full moon of manifestation. Very significant for the United States because of the degrees involved with Sun in Cancer and Moon in Capricorn and so on and so on. So in some ways everything is to be expected, but I'm not used to seeing such a spectacle on this scale. But anyway, it's happening real time, live in front of us right now. And I just want to go through a couple. Sorry, I'm a little bit. The heat is really bothering me. I get a little bit lightheaded and I might get a very queasy stomach in the heat. So I have an excuse. It's not all just, well, it is the planets. It's the sun. It's too freaking hot. So outside in the backyard, in the patio this morning, I was doing double checking on a few things. And it was 122 degrees Fahrenheit at about 7:50 a.m., 8 a.m. 122. Okay, it's much later now. It's much hotter outside the front side. The sun's already gone over the top and around to the other side. Okay. So I can't go outside. I can go into a car and out of a car very quickly to go to somewhere else that has air conditioning. A supermarket, hardware store, a cup of coffee at McDonald's. That's it. It's my whole life. Of course, there's the studio as well here, and you guys. Thank you very much. So it gets a bit weird, kind of like, cabin fever, claustrophobia in reverse. A lot of people get cabin fever or claustrophobic in wintertime because they're terrified to go out in the snow and the freeze and everything like that. I never had a problem with that personally. It's the heat. I can't take it. It's very dangerous. So anyway, rain check. Rain check works for you. Okay, fine. So I'll keep an eye on the chat. I hope Jessica turns up. I owe Jessica a mini reading. Anyway, so let's go to the stage right now. We have a lot to cover. We have a lot to cover. I don't know how much we'll cover. There's so much that I'm just going to have to prune it down to a few things. That's what I'm trying to do. Cheers, everybody. I've got a little bit of refreshment. It's got some, what you got? What in there? It's 34 grams of caffeine and some, what's the other stuff? High fructose corn syrup and a bunch of chemicals. There you go. Apparently plumbers use this stuff to unblock drains. So there you go. Cheers, everybody. As you know, we've been in an extended crisis with all the Neptune stationary retrograde here at 29 degrees. Cataclysmic crises guaranteed. Saturn is also retrograde, but it's not at the critical degrees, but it is in Pisces. So you combine them together, it's pretty challenging for people who choose to live life in a way that is not, let's say, aligned with integrity, reality, honesty, truth, compassion, patience, just good, healthy, wholesome characteristics that are highly valued and sometimes highly lacking. Neptune energy is very, very hard to understand, to navigate, to manage, to control, to integrate. And it's showing its truth right here now. Okay. Yes, cheers. So, right now it's the 21st, okay? The sun is now moved into Leo, and the moon is already, sorry, the moon has already moved into Aquarius, and soon, very, 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 very soon, the sun is going to be into Leo, and we're going to have another sun-moon opposition, but technically it won't be a full moon because we just had one, okay? So I'll see if I can, it's a kind of a messy chart, isn't it? Okay, anyway, so last night it was the full moon, well, early this morning, sun in Cancer, moon in Capricorn at the crisis critical degrees. Who would have guessed? And then here we are right now. The sun is still at 29.5 degrees, and later tonight the sun is going to move into Leo, and the moon will already be well into Aquarius. Okay, so there'll be sort of like a weird secondary full moon. A very different vibe. It's the Leo Aquarius instead of the Capricorn Cancer. Anyway, that's just a part of it. So with full moons, you would normally consider, manifestation, culmination. Everything comes to its peak, just like the wave of an ocean, like a surf wave. New moon, full moon. New moon, full moon. New moon, full moon, and so on and so on. Very similar to the behavior of tides. So, a few days ago, where is it? Oh yeah, I showed it to you right here. We're still living with this because these are very, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus being slow moving, and the sun just happened to be there as well. We ended up with this chart just a couple days ago. And we all know what happened a few days ago. Oh gosh. Bang, bang. Total of 8 shots apparently. So, just as we predicted many months ago, we would see a crisis point at this time, especially with Mars very tightly conjoined to Uranus, which it was at that time. It was conjoined. Bam! Extreme hyper-violence, unpredictable, explosive, deadly, horrific, scary, with shockwaves across the financial system. And we have it all. It's just like a freaking movie. In fact, it's better than any possible Hollywood movie you could imagine. Schlitz malt liquor. Oh boy. I don't drink anymore, as some of you know, but I used to love my beverages. And one of them was the 411 big can, the 411 can straight out of the convenience store. And it was a big, big can, and it was 8% alcohol. Woo! I love that stuff. Tina! Welcome, Tina! Hi, y'all. I hope you're okay, Tina. I know you've had some serious ups and downs. Anyway, so here we are. The crisis continues. 29 degrees, 0, and effectively 26. Call it 29 degrees. Let's just call it a crisis point. Crisis point, crisis. So it's all, yeah, it's okay. I can handle a couple of readings, maybe 2 readings. So it's happening, and today, live right now, it's no different. Let me just go over a few things. I have so much. I've just had to cherry pick the ones that really jumped out at me, and I thought I could relate to very strongly. Ballistics. You've probably seen already, there's tons of ballistics reports coming out. People who make stuff up, people who are doing random tests out in the bushes with exploding Donald Trump heads and taking their AR-556s and shooting it from different angles to see what's real and what works or not and doesn't work. But there are some actual real live ballistics experts who have now given testimony all the way through CNN mainstream media, if you can possibly imagine that. Seriously. Ballistics confirming through CNN that there were in fact 3 separate weapons used. Kaboom! Yeah. There's the shooter himself, Tom Crooks. And we think there's the guy up on the water tower, and we think there's maybe this guy behind the bleachers, and maybe there's this other guy somewhere else over on top of the gymnasium. Anyway, there's plenty of stuff now on record shown that it wasn't just this kid. He did not act alone. Crooks did not act alone. The whole event was a deep state, heavily staged, catastrophically failed assassination attempt. It's just like a freaking movie. It's just unbelievable. But it happened. And people are saying things like God's hand was on Trump's shoulder at the time. God's hand turned to Trump's head just enough by 1/4 of an inch to evade death. Some people are even saying that Trump staged the whole thing himself to make him look like a hero. It goes on and on and on. Now, here is a wacko link to the global financial stuff. And of course there's China. Okay, we know about that. There's the United States. We know about that. We could come back to that. But this was kind of a shocker. Love Triber sent me a few of these links here. One of them is this. I'll tell you. Hold on. I don't know if you use it, but I do. I'm on Truth Social. It's kind of like X. It's kind of like TikTok, Telegram, and those sort of alternative platforms. And it's basically designed to carry DJT himself. Of course, there's a lot of other people involved. It grew very, very big, very, very quickly. And then it went public, and the stock price went kaboom. And DJT himself owns a bunch of stock. So he did very well out of that whole thing. And Truth Social is doing extremely well. Anyway, it turns out there's this company called Austin Private Finance LLC. I forgot the name of the guy behind it. I'm just doing a lot of short notes here. And on the 12th, what was that? A few days ago. On the 12th, let's see, today's the 21st. So the shooting was on the 13th, which was the Saturday. So the 12th was the Friday. Okay, Friday. It always happens on a Friday. That's what Love Driver says. So this company, Austin Private LLC, Private Dollars, Private Finance LLC, shorted the DJT stock. Shorted means that they took out bets. They went onto their TD Ameritrade, E-Trade things, and they bought 12 million shares of DJT stock to short it. Now, the only reason you would do that is because you anticipate a spectacular failure in Truth Social. So, and it even shows on the charts. I'm not going to do it right here, but I guess I could, but I don't know how. I don't have the way I do my show, I'm not set up to do the thing, so you just have to trust me. It shows on the trading charts, And this spectacular trade, an enormous trade, basically it's a bet. This company bet. They bet huge. And of course, it failed. Because the assassination attempt failed. Shock, shock, shocker, shocker, shocker. And guess who? Guess who's involved with Austin Private Finance LLC? BlackRock, Vanguard, and a bunch of the other kids, you know? So that was kind of a big oops moment for those folks. Now, of course, you know, a few billion, $100 million here and there, who cares? It's BlackRock and Vanguard. It's just like, damn. Oh well, move on. So that happened. I thought that was kind of hilarious. The internet is just flooded with speculation, stories around the assassination and everything else that's going on. And the backstory, the secondary story that's coming up in the meantime, of course, is directly consequential to the failure of the assassination. And of course, we all know what happened then. And just a few hours ago, in case you haven't heard, I don't even have my notes on it, but it's... Okay, hold on, give me a second. You gotta laugh! You gotta this... A lot of people are saying, obviously, do you really think Grandpa Joe caught COVID at the last second? You know, the day after, or whatever it was, the assassination attempt? I don't know. It's not looking good. Whew. So, as you know, the assassination attempt was the final, last tool in the toolbox that the other party had to use in order to try and get the election to go their way on November 5th. Their ultimate plan was, there's nothing else we can do. We have to get rid of that guy. Donald has to go. I see that, Tina. Thank you very, very much. Donald has to go. And so we all know, you've probably all seen it, there is a spectacular amount of stuff on the world media about the assassination. You know, there's the water tower, there's the guy in the bleachers, there's crooks on the roof, there's the gymnasium on the side, there's the sound. And then, what was it, a day later, what was it, Saturday, Sunday? On Monday, I think it was the Republican, there was a convention. There was the whole RNC convention. And it was just a spectacular, massive success for DJT. So that became a huge, huge problem. Because every time the other guys try to take this guy DJT down, he just becomes stronger. And that's exactly what happened. Moving on. It's just like, what the bleep are we going to do? So they enact this outrageous assassination attempt that failed. Spectacular failure. And it's the failure is the exciting part about it. Donald has already moved on. It's just like, okay, well, what did you expect? And so the other side, the other team, are in a very serious crisis mode, damage control. And what do you know? Today, it came out on X. The announcement came out on X. The announcement came out on X from Joe himself. It says, I'm pulling out of the race. I am going to step down. That's it. So, without going into deeply, because I don't know too much, because this all happened in the last couple of hours, Grandpa Joe, am stepping aside. I've realized that I am not fit to run for another term in office. So I am stepping aside, and I am going to endorse Kamala. Yep. So this is going all over the world media right now. And Mike Johnson, who's the Speaker of the House, Republican type, third in line to the throne, he put out a tweet. Basically said, like, Joe, thank you very much for dropping out. But frankly, if you're telling us that you're not fit to run for a second term in office, then you're not fit to be there right now. You need to resign right now. Makes sense. You know, he's got a point. So anyway, clickety, clickety, click. Everything's running in place. Obviously, there's a lot of people behind the scenes in the Democrat Party who are scrambling around trying to figure out what to do. Where do I go? And everything's kind of locked in like the way they do. Kamala is now locked in, and the word is being put out that nobody is allowed to steal her light. It's Kamala. That's it. And now we're going to select the vice president. So this is all happening now, like live right now. Again, crisis point, 29 degrees. 29 degrees. Actually, you know what? With crisis point, let's be a little bit more accurate. I'm talking about the cusps, which translate to crisis points at this state of the game when you're talking about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, okay? Okay. Yes, she does. Kamala, I think Kamala is not very well appreciated on either side, whether you're a lefty or a conservative. Most people, as far as I can tell, are like, oh God, please just don't say anything. Wave and smile and then just please go away, because the minute she opens her mouth, oh God. So anyway, that's it. That's where we are right now. And there's a lot of scrambling going on. It's a Sunday. And of course, everything's going to become a lot more active over the next week or so as the full moon crescendo energy we just had and the crisis energy that's ongoing is going to unfold over the next 2 weeks until we get into the next new moon, and then it's new starts and new beginnings. But I'm going to go to some charts in a minute because this is going to be fun. You already know that. Oh God. The thing is, right now, my personal feeling is that even as I speak right now, there's absolute chaos in Washington. Lots of messages and everything. I watched a couple of things here and there, and then I just started to vomit. It was just so bad. So bad. And I thought, give it a rest. We all know this already. It's crisis on top of crisis on top of crisis. And some people say, well, let's never let a good crisis go to waste. But sometimes their crisis is a real life crisis. And it's happening right now. Okay? And we have more to come. Because guess what's going to happen? We've got Mercury going retrograde in Virgo and Leo. And you're soon going to discover that that's a huge problem for Kamala. Yep. Yeah. So let's just go have a look. Oh, Gregory. Yes. Yeah, I wanted to say I didn't have a chance to get back to you during the week, but Gregory, I got my notes up on Alec Baldwin and the shooting of the cameraman, the cinematographer lady, and how the whole thing was just dismissed and thrown out because of some glitch regarding incorrect presentation of evidence or something. I mean, it was outrageous. I mean, you warned me in advance that Baldwin probably paid off certain people to get that outcome so he can walk away. Okay, sorry. Another thing about the 29 degree marks, the crisis points, the cusp points where we are right now, multiple crisis points amplifying each other to amplify the chaos. And what happens, like a lot of people, humans, we all have a certain threshold where we crack. Like let's say you're normally pretty well balanced, and then something horrible happens, and you just scream and yell or something, or you punch somebody in the shoulder, or you do something literally out of your normal behavior. Like if you're always violent, that's one thing. But if you're normally well balanced and then you do something that's way outside your normal parameters, that's an indication that you have reached your breaking point. Okay, and that happens with everybody. At some point, there's a breaking point. So, anyway, I'm just going to get it out there. War is big time right now. Mars just moved into Gemini. It's going to be a lot more volatile, a lot more active, including wars of words, wars of commerce, wars of communication, and because it's Mercury, wars, it's going to, the violence is going to escalate in one form or another, and we're seeing that on the global stage already. Okay, so I'm going to get to that. No, the readings are not closed, Sarah. I've got a reading with Tina Miller, and a reading. Necessary. No, necessary is a rain check. Okay, so I got room for one more. Yes, I can take one more reading, Sarah, if you need one. Okay, thank you for asking. The global war machine is accelerating and expanding. They're putting their foot on the gas pedal. Everybody who's deeply vested and locked into the military-industrial complex in the United States and in NATO, they are accelerating their agenda as far as they can, as fast as they can, while they can, because they all know that when Donald Trump takes office, let's say when he wins in November 5th, 6th, or whatever, things are going to change all over the world. When he takes office January 6th, everything is going to change, especially when it comes to the military-industrial complex. The big follow the money thing is going to really start to convulse, and a lot of people who are vested in war, blood, and more and more war and blood are going to be really pissed off, because that's their paycheck. When they're gambling and trading on war, billions and billions and billions of dollars are traded on the markets on war. That's a problem for them. So there's a reason why certain people don't like Trump. Even though Trump is a businessman, he understands, big money and things like that up to a certain degree. He's not a big fan of the deep state. However, he's going to be the boss of the deep state, so he's going to he's going to be a boss inside the deep state. There's the Uniparty, which still exists. So let me segue to this one thing that I forgot to mention earlier. Let me go do it over here. Again, you have to do your own research, but I'm just coming to you off of my own notes here. You all heard about the CrowdStrike blackout, right? Just recently, and it just conveniently seemed to happen just after the assassination, and just after the massive media outbreaks all over the world about the assassination, and how people started to figure out very quickly this whole thing was rigged by the deep state. It wasn't just some random loner kid with a gun who wanted to become famous. It wasn't that at all. And it's all coming out. The truth is coming out, because the sheer scale of alternative media that is outside the full control of the mainstream media has reached a tipping point, and the mainstream media can no longer suppress things absolutely. Places like X, Telegram, Substack, Disclose, and so on and so on, they continue anyway. Rumble continues anyway. And material and information comes out and it is shared. So anyway. Oh, you paid? I didn't see that, Gregory. I'm sorry. Oh, we'll see how it goes. I'll try. So we'll do Sarah, Tina, and Gregory. Okay? I'll do my best. Okay? Let me get this stuff on record. Okay? So you heard about CrowdStrike. There was a big blackout outage all over the world. Anything to do with Windows, commercial business, software operating systems all over the world affected airlines, corporations, media, banking, anything you can imagine that goes through the internet and a computer. And people are saying, well, isn't it convenient that it all happened just when it needed to happen? Huh. Also, sorry, I'm just checking notes, Gregory. If we have to, I'd be more than happy to connect during the week. Okay? I'd rather just do 2 tonight, if that's okay, because frankly, this heat freaks me out, and I only have so much capacity before I suddenly go. Ugh. Anyway, thank you, Gregory, if you don't mind. Thank you. I'm going to accept your offer. So this whole CrowdStrike thing. Again, people are starting to say, it's not a random accident. It's a deep state blackout, strategically designed to shut down as much global media and create as much censorship as possible, while the CrowdStrike teams go inside to the servers to try and find any material that exposes the deep state to the assassination plot and how it went wrong. Not only that, apparently some of the most important servers that carry a lot of the CrowdStrike, machinery process to do what it does, they're in Ukraine. Oh God. There's so much shit coming out about Ukraine right now, with BlackRock, Vanguard rebuilding Ukraine, the biotech labs moving out very, very quickly so they don't get found out. Oh God, it's crazy stuff. But let's move on. Okay, this is a very scary chart. That's for today. And the other day, I simplified it and just put it like this. Crisis. Okay. There's the 19th. And of course, we can go way back. There's the 15th. There's J.D. Vance when he gets anointed. Then we had all this stuff. Let me see if I can find it. And we did all this stuff about the shooter. Big questions. There's the day after the shooting. Severe crisis point. Moon in Scorpio. And then there's the shooting. Oh boy, astrology is an amazing thing, isn't it? Well, guess what? We're going to do a little bit of a dive on Kamala. Let's put this one aside. And here's Kamala. Okay, I did a lot of this in shorthand because I was working very, very quickly. So let's run a few basics here. I'm using what's called a whole sign chart. Okay, this is a whole sign chart because when you use a full Placidus chart, it gets so messy. It becomes very hard to do any kind of worthy analysis or understanding. So, let's just run through a few basics. Here's the whole sign chart. So this is the first house. Each house is exactly 30 degrees. It's a whole sign. 30, 30, 30. So it's perfectly sliced up like a pizza, okay? And we start over here because her ascendant, her rising sign is in Gemini. It happens to be at 24 degrees here. And it's very interesting that her north node is 1 degree away. So it's exactly more or less conjunct, okay? So we'll come back to that. So we're moving through. Gemini rising. In other words, she has and a north node in Gemini. But there's no aspects. Okay, so it's kind of weird. And my feeling is that she's a little bit unconscious with this part of herself. And she doesn't have much control over any of this. And that's why I think they call her Cackling Kamala. Because this is all about communication and learning how to be a communicator and become a worthy communicator. The south node is over here in the 7th house. Okay, so I've got, I'm just going to spit a few things out as they come very, very quickly. Her south node is over here in Sagittarius. So my feeling is that there's a very good chance that she thinks she knows it all already. And she believes she's way smarter than she actually is. Another problem here with the south node here, it's the house of open enemies. It's the 7th house, Libra, okay, relationships. My feeling is that she has filled her brain full of stuff from other people that she is assuming and believing is true and factual and irrefutable. And she's using that as the basis for her truth. And this is almost like an open portal for people to use her because of her, let's say, immaturity, almost I would say stupidity. So what comes from here is like vacuous, and it comes spitting out here as though it's real, and then everyone else in the world sees it over here as like, Kamala, you just opened your mouth and you just said a load of gibberish. Okay? It's complete gibber. Okay? Nobody believes you. Nobody trusts you. You think you know, but you don't. Your words are jumbled, what do they call them? Word salads. Okay? But she believes in herself anyway. She has to. Her north node is right there. Okay? Next up, let's do the sun. Okay? She's got Sun in Libra. I guess we could do it this way. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Let's try to do it like that, okay? So Sun in 27 degrees, close to the crisis point of Libra. It's a critical degree to some degree. Interesting, it's an exact opposite with the Moon in Aries, okay? Right here. That's an exact opposition. Libra, Aries. So the relationship aspect of her life is extremely important. It's almost like she would not know who she is. She has no concept of who she is as a person without the reflection of mirror of a significant other. And that's built on emotional neediness that she has inside of her, because she's what appears to me to be hollow. She's got Mercury in Virgo over here, very, very close by. It's in Virgo, but it's so close that it might as well be here. Again, this makes me feel like, okay, I'm just going to skip that. Precise language would be really, really, really important to her. And actually, she does a very, very good job of making herself sound as though she really is the source and fountain of wisdom and knowledge, when in fact it's not working very well for her. She's got Neptune. Sorry, this isn't. I read that wrong. This is Scorpio. Mercury in Scorpio. Excuse me. This is the Virgo stuff over here. She's got Mercury in Scorpio 1 degree, very close to the Libra. Very different energy. So Mercury in Scorpio would mean precision words that are potentially very harmful, but also potentially very powerful. In other words, you have to be very, very, very careful, like Clinton said. You have to be careful of what you say, who you say it to, when you say it, why you say it, where you say it, and how you say it. Because words have power and meaning and value. And if you're out of alignment with that, it can backfire very, very badly. Okay? So that's a permanent, ongoing possibility over there. She's got Neptune in Scorpio as well over here. So at this point of her chart, it's one of her vulnerabilities. It's very sweetly, very powerfully supported here with these sextile and trine, but it's still a vulnerability with Mars. And I would say it's a sexual vulnerability, where Neptune is used for nefarious purposes. It's the abuse of sexuality and the immersion into the sexual arena of life without really understanding the consequences of what it really means to have sexual union. Because at the highest level of Neptune and Scorpio, sexual union would be a profoundly spiritual encounter where a person with high awareness would understand that it's the merger of two souls at the depth of the soul, attempting to create new life in the form of another human. And hopefully it will be blessed with love. But this is very, very... So I'm not saying everybody with Neptune and Scorpio is conflicted like that, but I see that here. I guess I'm just going to go around the whole chart. Sun, Mercury, Neptune, okay, South Node, Sagittarius. She's got Saturn in Aquarius up here at 28 degrees. Oh, God. Pluto is in Aquarius. Okay? And eventually it's going to get there. This isn't too much of a problem right now, but eventually 20 years from now it's going to be for her. But so I'm not sure what to make of that. It gives her a lot of stabilizing force in this very conflicted relationship dynamic between herself and others of herself. And from the little that I know, the very little that I know, you know what, I'm going to say that to the end because it's kind of rude, very, very offensive. But okay, let's move on. Her midheaven is right up here, 2 degrees Pisces. And her Chiron is in 14 degrees Pisces. So this tells me, in terms of her destiny, her career, her place on earth, it's an illusion. It's a delusion. And it is riddled with the ongoing pain of delusion, where it's just going to go from bad to worse. And she can't help herself. There's Chiron right here, okay? So this is a very painful placement for her. Her career, her destiny, the more and more she unfolds onto the global stage, the worse it's going to get for her, because a lot of stuff is going to be exposed from here. Pluto, Uranus, and Venus are in Virgo, okay? Virgo is about purity, purification, cleanliness, hygiene, health, creating order out of chaos. So this is a very powerful alignment that she has, but I believe she is completely unaware. This is very deep subconscious energy. It's so powerful, it's so deep, I don't believe she has any control or ownership over it. And she is constantly a victim of her own fragility and weaknesses. Next, over here, we talked about the moon. Jupiter in Taurus. So she's got this extreme good fortune in the 12th house, which is amplified here between Virgo and Taurus, which I believe is helping her to survive an extremely turbulent time, because the transiting Uranus and Mars were just here. And it's in the 12th house. Okay, so for Kamala, anything in the 12th house is very closely associated with politics and politicians, regarding the ability to live in a world of secrecy, lies, fraud, betrayal, deception, which is actually an important part of holding high office. You have to be able to maintain custody of secrets. Secrets that could be very dangerous and damaging to the world if released. Okay? So in some ways she's kind of protected there. But I don't think she's aware. So I'm going to come to the very basic here. This is a massive polarity. Okay? Relationships. Pluto, Venus, Uranus. I'm looking at very strange relationship dynamics in a very deceptive manner that creates a negative feedback loop of pain and suffering. And I think it's going to become exposed that she might be one of those people, let's just say, this is the only way to say it is that she slept her way to the top. Okay? There's a whole bunch of stuff that's starting to come out about the people with whom she associated with over the last few decades, and you can just see it. It's just a ladder. It goes from here to here to here to here to here to get where she is today. Okay? And I think it's happening unconsciously. I think if anyone pointed that out to her, she would be in complete denial, like, how dare you? That's outrageous. How dare you? But again, she wouldn't know who she is without those relationships. And what we, the people, can see, but she can't see it herself, is that she is a person who sleeps her way to the top to get where she is. Guys do it, girls do it. Okay? Victor. That's another way of saying it. Oh, God. Anyway, and then over here, she says whatever she has to say to keep the whole shebang going, believing that she can actually do this. She has, my feeling is that she has an outstanding belief in her own wisdom and superiority and intelligence and vast awareness of the political global stage. Where in fact, the minute she opens her mouth, everybody realizes that, no, there's not a lot going on over there. And whatever is inside her brain has been fed to her like a script. But I think it's hard for her to stick to the script. Anyway, that's just my take on things. I'm sorry, Kamala, but I'm just drawing my conclusions. And because I'm not a fan, I'm giving if I thought you were amazing, I would probably interpret this in a different way. I would say how you're such a glorious Libra loving person, even in the most tense relationships. I would say things like you have a profound depth of love and procreation and creativity and connectivity to spirit, even though it's actually a painful process to be that pure. I know, but I can't see it. I just can't do it. I can't make myself do it. Neptune is over here in Scorpio. This is the point where there will be massive self-undoing. Losses, pain, suffering, the revelation of fraud, deception, lies, betrayal, especially in the sexual arena. If, for example, while she goes through the scrutiny over the next few months, remember, the conservatives, the Republicans, Donald and his crew, they're going to do everything to rip apart this person. They're going to dig, and they're going to find every bit of dirt that exists on Kamala, and they're going to put it all over the world. Media, Truth Social, Fox News, Newsmax, all the conservative outlets. And they're going to paint her as basically a slut with a very small brain and a big mouth. And she just can't help herself. And it's going to become her undoing. But it may not, because look, she's protected here. Neptune and Chiron. So she's got a lot of insulation here some way. A lot of insulation here. So, and that indicates to me that she's got a very, very powerful team on her side that's going to make her look like the most spectacular new option. The other thing that, what did we say earlier? Yeah, it is mind-boggling to witness this thing. I think I mentioned earlier that Mike Johnson put out a tweet on his tweet. As soon as the news came out, he did a full-on tweet, but in the essence, it was a message to Joe. Dear Joe, listen. If you have now declared that you are no longer fit to seek election for new office, you can't function as a president, then you're no longer fit to serve as president now. In other words, you need to resign. You need to step aside now and let the story unfold from there. But that's not what's happening as far as I can tell. From what I can tell, Joe has already stated that he's going to keep running for the rest of his term. So this makes things extremely awkward for the lefties and extremely awkward for Donald and his crew. This has never happened before. I mean, it's a complete chaotic crisis, aberration, and we're just going to have to live through it in real time. And there, of course, the whole world is going to be watching. And I think Mike Johnson also put out a statement basically saying, by the way, dear rest of the world, in other words, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and all the other tyrants, just because we're having a complete, utter meltdown here in America does not mean that you can take advantage of us and start and expand and escalate your wars while we are scrambling to fix our big poopy mess here in America. Because I guarantee, Mike Johnson, guarantee that our military and our commanders, the ones who are not there from DEI, we know what we're doing, and we have more than enough capacity to take care of you, the bad guys. Okay? So I'm just warning you. Okay? Wednesday's the day. Okay. We'll be watching out for that. I know I'm going to be an observer. Okay, so let's let me get on over here. Give me a second. Yeah, it's just okay, I'm just going to put this aside, okay? I'm going to keep the others charts for today handy in case we need them. I'm going to put all this aside, and now we're going to do readings. Necessary, you are on a rain check. And we've got a, oh man, let me just, okay, let me just, give me a second. I got to sort out my, my mini readings here tonight. So just, you know what, I'm gonna play some blissful music while I do this, and because I have to shuffle up the cards anyway, you know. Okay, how are we gonna do this? I know we have some readings booked. See you, Victor. Thank you. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Good night, Victor. Thanks for hanging out. So we're going to read for Sarah, then we're going to read for Tina. Jessica, I owe you one, but you're not here, so we'll do a rain check, all right? And we have a rain check for necessary. If you wanted to mention a few other things, give me a second, please, Sarah, but otherwise brace yourself, and you might have to sit on your hands. Who knows what's going to show up tonight. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Diana. You too. Chill. Thanks. So, one of the other things I wanted to mention about all this crisis stuff is that it's so big. The sheer scale of crisis is so big that it's like the world has never seen anything like this. I mean, obviously, I've been watching lots of little historical things to try and get some perspective. And of course, when you're in the thick of it, that's your whole life and your whole world. But if you go back 1,000 to 3,000 years ago, when different tribes from this or that were fighting over a piece of land, when the Anglo-Saxons and everything were fighting the Celts, and when, in the 1400s, 1300s, and the 1200s and whatever. Like, look at here's old America around 1800, whatever, the Bunker Hill, I forgot the date, but, America was already existing at the time. And for the people who were there, it was the whole world. Even the maps of the world were very primitive just a few hundred years ago. Today, of course, we know everything because we got satellite, we got GPS, we can see everything down to your nose hairs from outer space. And it didn't used to be that way. There was a time when the whole of what we call the United States was populated, from what I can tell, with about 30 million what we call Native Americans. And they had a whole existence. And they had all their wars, they had their history. One tribe does this, another tribe does that. One kills the other, one kills the other. They take the land, they take the buffaloes, they take the fish, they take the women, whatever it is, on and on and on. And if you can imagine, back in those days, they didn't have social media. The communications were barely even written. It was mostly just spoken word and mythology, storytelling all around the campfire. That's really all they had. And you know what happens when you tell stories around a campfire and you go, pss, 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 pss. Can you believe what just happened to so-and-so? He did that and she did that and that, blah, blah, blah. And the next person goes, oh my God, do you know what just happened? I heard from so-and-so that they did that and this and this and this and that. And then that person goes, holy shit, seriously, they did that? And so the mythology morphs and changes. And one of the biggest storybooks, of course, is the Bible. Other big books are the Quran. What are the other big famous books? They're like, could be all sorts of things. Harry Potter. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is the scale, the sheer scale of things, because we've never had a global scale until the last couple hundred years, which in terms of astrology, geology, evolution, ice ages coming, ice ages going, pole shifts, every few thousand years, the Sahara Desert being completely green and then going to desert, and then going back to green again. We don't see a lot of these things because most humans tap out at about 70, 80, 90, even 100. But again, that's just nothing. But when you come to the big astrology, what we're seeing now is big, big stuff, big, big themes, big storylines. And I associate that with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto because they are so far out of our consciousness. That's why they call them the impersonal planets, because they operate the geomagnetic influence, the gravitational pull on our pituitary, hypothalamus, amygdala, and all of that stuff. It's so profound that we kind of don't know it's happening. On the other hand, as we evolve, we can't switch off our knowledge of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They're out there. They are influencing us, just like the moon, just like Saturn, just like Jupiter. So how do we deal with that? By awareness, by learning through mistakes. And right now, we're going through multiple crises points. So this is an incredible opportunity to evolve by understanding and learning our mistakes, how we screw up. And we're seeing it on a global scale. And so I made a few notes here. Where things are screwing up are the really biggest things. And that's Pluto. Power. Power, money, control. Obsessive, maniacal obsession and lust for power, money, and control. That's the unhealthy, unconscious, toxic expression of Pluto. The healthy expression would be super advanced remote energy healing. Anyway, on the big scale, we now know, because we're seeing it live real time through the crises. That's where we're getting the big reveal so that we can see it, so that we can heal it. Big Pharma. We all know now that Big Pharma, the Modernas, the Pfizers, and all of those folks are deeply entwined with the stock market, BlackRock, Vanguard, the federal government, and so on and on and on and on. And it's purely about money and power and control for them at our expense. Okay, we know that. It's a problem. We have to learn how to grow above that. Same thing with big agro. That's the Monsantos. That's the Unilevers. That's the, what are all the other big agro things? Tyson chicken, Smithfield beef and pork, and so on and so on. We're starting to see the depths of evil to which they will descend in order to get more power, money, and control at the corporate level, in collusion with the government. It's the same thing with big tech, big media, big military industrial complex. These are all massive globalized enterprises that are all connected by their one core theme, which is the lust for more power and money and control. Okay? My friends, the Cargills. There you go. Perfect example. And the Halliburton family. There you go. So all of that is kind of, it's all coming out. It's oozing out. The sewage, the stench. The people who own and operate and run all that stuff believe that they're immune, that they're above us. But they don't realize that they have an exhaust and they pollute. And the stench is mind-boggling. It's like sewage, like massive sewage spills. And the arrogance of these people is what is astounding to me. Anyway, it's all coming out as part of the crises, okay? So we're watching multiple stories all across the world. Another good example is the Chinese Communist Party. It's an extreme example. How it's coming unglued in real time. How they believe that they can own and control nature. I mean, Americans do it as well, but not to the extent of them. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out of my system because it's very, very, very big stuff. Pluto stuff. And it's hard to understand it and absorb it because most of us are just trying to figure out, how am I going to buy more gasoline now? Huh? Am I supposed to keep up with food bills? You know? The default rate on mortgages in America is staggering. Default on credit cards, staggering. Default on car payments, staggering. If you think it's bad in America, go to China. It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying what's happening in China. All right, here we go. Thank you for listening to my ranting. All right, Sarah, I hope you're still here. I hope I didn't scare you away. All right, let's have a look. Let's see what's going on. Cards are well shuffled in advance, but I like to go to the last second so that you're a witness. I don't do reversals. I'm not doing jumpers, flyers, and oracles or anything like that these days. At least not right now. I got one out there. Pop that out. Pop that back in, and so on and so on. There we go. This should be good. So let's bless this deck. Bless every single card. Bless the whole channel. Bless all of you folks out there. The wires, the microphones, the lighting, all the multiple softwares running simultaneously that allows us to do this. Let's bless the platform itself. We're still here. Haven't been shut down completely yet, so and I don't think it will. So, what kind of messages? So, Sarah, while we're getting in the group here, take a couple of breaths. I'd preferably say it out loud. I invite your invisible friends to come close and hang out with you while we do this, okay? It just makes for better clarity, better lines of communication. Okay, let's have a look. Sarah, I hope you're there. All right, let's have a look. Here's the situation. Actually, we've done a few readings recently, haven't we, in the last few months? Here's the challenges, and here's how we're going to handle things going forward. And let's have a look at external influences. Well, we know we have a lot going on, but let's see, like the theme. So we have the High Priestess, okay? So with the High Priestess energy here, okay, like surrounding the whole situation, I feel this is very, very impersonal, but it's very, very benevolent, and that it is a form of, I'm not going to say divine intervention, but a form of divinity that is out there in your life, in your world right now. And in some ways you don't even need to know about it, okay? But it's there. It's coming out here in the reading. And in some ways it makes me feel, this is the only way I can describe it is something like this. Let me see if I can do this. It's almost like the High Priestess is there, very, very gently at your side, trying to deliver, like to me it feels like the message is like, dear Sarah, you, whether you like it or know it or not, you're connected with the divine. You are evolved enough to have that. Whether you like it or know it or not, you are connected with divinity. You have access to the High Priestess and others and any other divine, sacred energy of the healing power of love in your life right now. And I feel what it's trying to say is like, if you're stressing out about all sorts of things that you don't know about, like maybe your lack of knowledge of this or that or that or this, or like the lack of information regarding blah 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 blah, maybe your family, your goals, your ambitions with housing and all that kind of stuff, whatever's going on. Okay, I forgot. And that the High Priestess is there. It's almost like whatever you need to know will come to you when you need to know it. Whatever you don't need to know will not come to you because you don't need to know it yet, or maybe never. So if your brain is struggling, I need to know what this is or that is or that, otherwise I can't solve all my problems. What the High Priestess is saying is like take a deep breath and understand that in some subtle way, in your own way, that you're going to have to get used to, dear Sarah, that you are guided and you are protected. You can't take it for granted, but it's there. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Okay? But you are guided and you are protected. You have access to the divine. All right. So, in other words, if you feel like there's a lot of mysterious things happening in your life right now and you just don't understand it, it's because at that moment in time, you don't really have to. You can just evolve and go with the flow. Let's have a look. What's the situation itself? Okay, with the Two of Wands here, my feeling, again, it kind of reinforces the messages that I was getting here, but it's another layer. With the Two of Wands here, I feel the message is that, Sarah, whether you like it or know it or not, I'm just going to give you the benefit of the doubt here, because I feel that I don't think you would be here if you were a bad or an evil person. I feel that you're a good person with a big heart, and you just want what's best in life for you and your loved ones. So when I see the Two of Wands here, it makes me feel that you have to understand, and you're probably understanding it right now, that you are creating your destiny as you go along, minute by minute, moment by moment, decision by decision. Decisions have outcomes. I think it was Love Triber who sent me a message today. I can't remember. Or maybe I saw it on my feed. But there is this woman. She was being interviewed by some random social media person. And the person who was interviewing said, "Well, dear woman, how do you identify yourself? Who do you feel you are? I mean, you seem to be a white woman with long blonde hair." And the woman said, "Well, okay, that's what you see, but I'm actually more or less just a computer program. I was programmed from birth because of how I was raised with my parental figures, and then what I learned in school, and what I learned in society, what I consumed myself as I went through, and so on and so on. And that constitutes my identity." So I'm not saying that's how you are, Sarah, but what I'm sensing here is with the Two of Wands is that there's an understanding, and you're beginning to grasp the extent of the understanding that literally thoughts are things. Things manifest. Energy flows where attention goes. And if you have good, healthy intentions and you support that with the healing power of love and you allow yourself to be guided and protected, then your destiny will unfold accordingly, one step at a time, as each seed is planted along the way. And then eventually it's harvested. So what's the challenges? So this is it feels to me like it's kind of a spiritual reading. In other words, how to conduct your life going forward in your three-dimensional day-to-day life with your immediate concerns, your loved one, food, shelter, family, bills, being happy, being sad, being healthy, and so on. But there's a spiritual component, okay? It's very, very important to understand they're happening simultaneously, and it feels to me like it's becoming more and more integrated into one thing, where it is one thing. Your three-dimensional experience becomes more and more aligned with the multidimensional spirit existence in a good way, okay? So what are the challenges here? Okay, with the Page of Wands, it gives me a feeling that like as you are planting seeds of destiny, and as you are aware that decisions have consequences, planting seeds will turn into certain types of destiny. Every now and again, you might be fearful like, oh my God, am I making the right decisions? Did I actually just plant the right seed at the right time, at the right moment, in the right place, with the right agenda, with the right feeling, with the right components of love, healing, and all of that? Oh, I don't know. Am I screwing up? Am I out of alignment? Is it really true that I'm guided and protected? Oh, I don't know. I'm just Sarah Nova, and I'm just trying to live my life. Oh, God, I hope I do it right. So that's kind of what I'm sensing here. Let's have a look. How do you move forward? Because this is more or less like a little bit of fear. It's an understandable fear because it makes me feel that what's actually happening is that you're going through some kind of spiritual awakening. But it's at a very kind of deep and large, profound scale. And your body can't handle it all at once. So it's happening like in a slow motion thing, like how a tree grows, like how a plant grows, as opposed to having all your wishes fulfilled in the moment. Like, oh, I want a new car. Oh, I want to get a better home. Things like that. So how do you deal with the convergence between 3D life, your world, and the newly unfolding multidimensional world that is inevitably and unavoidably and unstoppable, that's happening around you and with you and inside of you and outside of you? As within, so without. Okay? So as you evolve from within, that's going to have an impact on your life without. So as within, so without. Okay? You might have heard that expression. It's kind of like a bumper sticker. Anyway, moving forward, Page of Pentacles. Okay. More sort of youthful innocence here. In order to proceed, my feeling is like, just take everything that we were talking about here and condense it back into your three-dimensional reality, on the understanding that, yes, there is a new multi-dimensional aspect to my life that is starting to unfold and reach your 3D conscious awareness as opposed to being invisible. And so what do you do with that? Well, because this is what I'm sensing is relatively new energy, how do you harness that energy going forward so that it works for you? Okay, in other words, it makes me feel here like be a good student of yourself, of life as life unfolds and like the life in the universe and everything, how it unfolds around you, and just make sure that every day when you wake up, you make it your business to manage your assets as thoroughly, graciously, lovingly, and responsibly, patiently, joyfully as possible. Okay? That could be, balancing the checkbook, or, making sure you've got groceries, making sure that your plans for the day are all solid and worked out, and that your goals and ambitions aren't completely insane, and that you will have sorry, the chat just got very lively. Hold on. So anyway, I'm trying to finish the reading here. So never fear. Okay, Sarah, never fear. Please understand that you are guided, you are protected. You may not know it, you may not realize it. You are creating your destiny one step at a time, and it will unfold accordingly despite your fears. But in the meantime, proceed with confidence, understanding that you don't know everything all the time. And so you're going to learn a lot as you go. Okay? Think of it as an adventure. Truly an adventure. Every day, it's almost like treat every day as a brand new adventure. You don't have to fear, okay? There's nothing to fear. All right, thank you, Sarah. I hope that helps you. Tina, you're up. All right, T-ho. Oh, I'm going to play some more, and then we're going to shuffle up and get ready for Tina, all right? All right, give me a second, Tina. Give me a second, okay? I've just got to sort something out here. Please bear with me. I'm just doing a technical thing. And I should have thought of this before, but I didn't. So now I'm scrambling. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. The thing that I wanted to talk about is too big and too complex to deal with this evening, so I'm going to abandon that for now. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, the High Priestess is, it's like a hidden power. Big power for sure. Not something you'd want to mess with. Hello, Purva Kumari. Sounds like you're from India. Anyway, I'm not... I'm not sure I can help at the moment, and this is going to be my last reading for the evening here. I've got a reading booked with Jessica Bergeron soon. I don't know when she's going to be back. And I have another reading. I should put this here right now before we forget. With Gregory. But we're doing that. We're doing a rain check on Gregory or later in the week or something like that. Rain check. I was going to write Gregory rain check. Alrighty. So, yeah, Purva, you are from India. Okay. I've had a couple of Indian friends in my life. I love them dearly. My God, we had fun. My God, we had fun. I just have to share a little story. Please bear with me a second, Tina. So, back in my Los Angeles, Hollywood days, I had a tenant, and her, God, why am I blanking on her name? Anyway, a lovely lady from India. Wonderful, wonderful girl. And it turned out she wanted to have a quiet, mellow space for a while. So I thought, well, this works perfectly. You can have this room over here. And we ended up becoming really good friends. She wasn't just a regular roommate or a tenant or anything like that. And she loved to cook. And so I like Indian food. I like Indian cooking, and it's just a wonderful bonding experience to have so much fun. Like when she would take over the kitchen, and I'd be kind of going like, wow, oh wow. And she even took me to some of these Indian specialist groceries in LA, where the only people who shop there are from India, and I understand. Anyway, the food was delicious, and we had a lot of fun. We just ended up being very compatible. And she was a married woman, but she was taking a break for her husband was off in Asia doing big tech stuff. But anyway, while she was staying there at my place, she did a online divorce or something. And after a while, she started getting a bit flirty. And I think she started thinking like she wanted to get married. And I've never really thought myself as a very very much of a marriage prospect. Anyway, it never happened, and she moved on with her life. She moved north. She met somebody else up north. We stayed good friends for a couple of years and then moved on. But my gosh, the food. Oh my God. And my other Indian friend. Oh my God. His name was Sanjay Patel. Sanjay Patel. And he was a private chef to a mid-level, upper-level movie producer. And sometimes I got invited into parties and things like that. And Sanjay and me and a few other guys, we ended up sort of being like a little rat pack. And Sanjay made a lot of money because the producer paid him a lot of money. And Sanjay would take us out to the clubs. And we would just splurge money. And he was a complete hound dog. A wonderful fellow, but every now and again he would go berserk and have a real temper and get really fed up with being a chef. He wanted something more. But anyway, I'll share a little story. So we were there at this really, really hopping, busy, expensive nightclub right in the middle of Hollywood. And Sanjay was taking up the bill. He goes straight up to the bar, and the ladies know him. And he just slaps down his credit card, and the ladies know what to do. And so, what do I want to drink? I'll get this, I'll get that. And then he looks at another girl. There's another girl sitting next to, a couple of girls away. And he goes he turns into an animal, and I know to step back when he gets this way. And so anyway, he starts to go up to the girl and start to chat with her. Now, Sanjay was not very tall. I'm 5'11", okay? And Sanjay's about 5'6" or something. And there's a lot of very tall, very gorgeous, beautiful women in Los Angeles. It's just like they're everywhere. And so Sanjay's in heaven. And he goes up to this woman and he says, "I'm very attracted to you. I think you're a very beautiful woman." And I'm going like this, oh no, this. And she's like, "Oh yeah, no, it's okay. I don't need a drink, thank you. You're a really nice guy. I'm with my friends, if you don't mind. We just And then Sanjay's like, "No, you don't understand me. I think you're beautiful. In fact, I think I love you." And the girl is like, "Oh man." Anyway. So a couple of us and our buddies were kind of coming around to trying to save Sanjay so he doesn't get into deep water here. And so I'm hovering in pretty close, and Sanjay goes up to her, puts his hand on her arm, and she's like, and then he says, you don't understand. I love you. I want to fuck you. I want to fuck you so bad. And then at this moment, of course, me and the boys, we just grabbed Sanjay, pulled him out of there, and kind of went to the other side of the club and tried to shut him up. Man, so there you go. 2 stories about my 2 India friends. I had a couple others, but anyway, sorry to distract you. Tina, you're up. Sorry, that was nothing to do with a tarot reading. Oh boy. All right, calm down, TL. Calm down. All right, now let's have a look. Tina, you're up. Here we go. What kind of messages do we have here for Tina tonight? We all know here, Tina, that you've been through a lot over the last few years, and the story is still unfolding. Let's have a look here. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things going forward. Let's have a look at external influences. Of course, it's, how is this astrology is affecting the whole of planet Earth on a mind-boggling scale, but it affects the individual too. Let's have a look here. So we have the Three of Cups. Aww. My feeling is that right now this is mostly about the attitude of gratitude and understanding that, yes, Tina, I mean, by all accounts, you've had a very bumpy ride recently. But there are a few little nuggets of gold that exist in your world, and they need to be acknowledged every now and again, whatever that might be. It might be you and you true furry friends. I know they're a big handful. It must be very expensive to operate these big furry friends. Just the amount that they must poop, the amount they must eat, the amount of exercise, the amount of damage control, ripping your property to shreds and having to rebuild everything. I understand. But still, behind all that, there's something to celebrate and enjoy. Because you have a certain thing, a certain something that at least probably 4 to 5 billion people would wish that they had, that they don't have. So I'm just trying to illustrate the sheer scale of things here. It could be very, very simple, okay? For example, here's what I'm thinking. Here's an example of Tina. It could be very simple, like when it comes to evening. I don't know what the weather's like over there right now, but maybe you have a beautiful sunset. And you're just looking around like, my God, I've been through so much shit. And then you look around and you start to realize, well, it's not all that bad. I'm sitting on my porch, looking out. There's the vast landscape, the stars, Milky Way, the sunrise, the sunset, a couple of big crazy animals. You got your world. That's good. That's good. I would raise my glass to that. In fact, I will. Congratulations, Tina, and all the best to you and continuing goodness. All right, time for your reading itself. What's the situation like? Let's have a look here. So, whoop-de-doo, with the Wheel of Fortune going on. So, again, that doesn't surprise me at all when you look at this stuff. Okay? Think of that like a Wheel of Fortune, you know? Wow. Ooh, spin it again. Whoa, what's going on there? Whoa! Whoa, what the huh? Oh my gosh, so there's a lot of stuff up in the air. Anything and everything could happen. And there's, of course, the stuff that's already in play. Like you have a certain percentage of your three-dimensional world that is already fully locked in, solid, good to go. But there's this thing called the future. And right now, like the rest of the world, a lot of people are trying to figure out what the hell does the future look like? Because we don't get these kind of astrological moments every day. Like a few weeks ago, people were talking about, oh, Donald this, oh, the recession, oh, the wars, oh, inflation, and then we got the assassination. What the blah? So it turns into global headlines instantly. So with the Wheel of Fortune, my feeling here is to, number one, understand your own, in your own way, understand your own good fortune. And that in some amazing divine way you are truly blessed. And yes, there is a lot that is not known, but it will unfold. It will unfold perfectly. Everything is exactly as it should be. Why is that so? How is that so? It's because it can't be any other way. Things are the way they are. Neptune is doing what it does. Pluto's doing what it does. The sun is doing what it does. The solar cycles are going up, they're going down. Ice age is going up and going down. Temperatures go up, temperatures go down. We only live in a little tiny bubble of our own existence. And out there is the whole universe. So it's a lot to digest. But my feeling here with the Wheel of Fortune is like, number one, I'm not a gambler, Tina. I know you are itching to come to Las Vegas and do blackjack. Okay? So let's put it this way. Maybe the blackjack is calling you. Maybe it's time to plan a trip to Las Vegas. Do some blackjack. I'm just kind of kidding around, okay, Tina? But understand that fortune kind of goes in ups and downs. Like people might think, oh, Donald Trump, he's very fortunate. He's a multi-billionaire. But at the same time, you might think like, oh, I don't actually want his life because I don't want to be up there in front of millions of people all day, every day, having to sacrifice potentially my life to try and reconstitute the Constitution of America. But it happens that he understands fortune. He understands fate. And I think, Donald, I'm just trying to make an analogy here, Tina, okay? How fate works. It's that I think Donald and a lot of millions of other people believe that Donald is fated to be this person that he is today. And it's not a coincidence. So the things that are happening in your life that might appear random, Tina, they're actually part of a magnificent story. And the bits and pieces in the next chapters are going to unfold accordingly. You don't necessarily know what they're going to be or what they're going to look like, but never fear. Allow the story to unfold. Let the chips fall where they may. Just maintain your integrity. One of the best ways to do that is the attitude of gratitude. Remind yourself every day that you're a very lucky woman. You're a very wealthy woman. You're a very happy woman. You're a very blessed woman. Okay? Fact. All right. What's the challenges here? Let's have a look. So with the King of Pentacles here, my feeling is like every now and again. Okay, I feel two messages here. Every now and again, wouldn't it be nice, Tina, if some amazing character would show up who just fixes everything. Everything that can go wrong, that does go wrong in a three-dimensional physical world. Wouldn't that be nice if a certain, perhaps unknown, mystical, magical character would show up by fate who could be there for you? It doesn't have to be a formal thing or anything like that. You don't have to fall in love. It just means like there's this other character that has deep significance. The other thing about this, of course, with the King of Pentacles is there might be a deep fear that you only have 99% control of your assets, your time, your resources, your money, your health, and everything. And that it would be so wonderful if you had it all. But very few of us actually have that. If we might be very wealthy, but we might be sick in the mind. We might have a tremendous, maybe they think they've got a tremendous sex life, but it's at the expense of little side sex trafficking kids or something like that. Or people might think that they're so cool because they have a really big fancy car, even if it's on a $800 a month car payment. So I guess it makes me feel like understanding that in your own way, you're very lucky, wealthy, happy, blessed, okay? You might doubt that every now and again, but when you revert to the attitude of gratitude especially if you can celebrate that with others or someone else, then that will start to amplify and turn into a positive feedback loop where this becomes more and more and more fun and exciting and rewarding. And you start to look forward to every day as it unfolds rather than perhaps being scared of what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay? So how do we handle these like seemingly contradictory energies here? We move forward. Okay, so with the Ten of Wands, it's on the understanding that you've already you already know what it's like to live through the worst. You know exactly what this is. You know all the pain, all the suffering that has come before from having to carry it all because no one else could, and no one else can live your life for you, and just ended up that certain aspects of your life were absolutely crippling. But that's not the end of your story. It's not the end of your life, end of your world. You are, in fact, still moving forward, and eventually there will be some respite, okay? Because over here, probably you can't see it too well in the imagery here. Let's see if it pops up. There is, in fact, a little house there, which is there waiting for you, and it's still there, and it will still be there. And there's the vast horizons in the distance, the landscapes, cacti, open fields, you know, the New Mexico desert, the beautiful landscape. So in other words, it's worth continuing, and you know that you have to continue even though you're carrying a lot of the burdens of, let's say, the fate and the destiny that you have already moved into. In other words, there's a momentum, like you're seeing the fate, the destiny of your life unfolding live, real time as you go forward, understanding that yes, there's good stuff, yes, there's very challenging stuff, but the movie is still going, the movie of your life. You're the lead actor, you're the star, you're the writer, the producer, and the director of all of it. And understanding that you might be going through challenging chapters, episodes. But so long as you continue to remind yourself that there's something sweet at the core, you're okay and you're going to be okay. You might not know that, you might not believe that every day because you might not see the signs. But you have to keep going anyway, okay? Ultimately, it keeps coming back to this. Hold on, give me a second. I'm almost done here. I'm trying to think how to put this in a very compact way. It's like understanding that if you want to look at it a certain way, every single day is a burden. All day, every day. Even if you got millions of dollars, it's just like, oh my God, how on earth am I going to keep my portfolio up there? The markets are insane right now. I'm having such a shitty day. I better check my accounts. Oh my God, it went down from 120 million to 118 million. Oh shit. Okay, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be like, wow, I lost a few today, but you know, I still got 108. Anyway, I hope I'm just trying to convey what I'm feeling, okay? Such that the good stuff is there, the bounty is there. You have that at the very, very, very core. At the very, very deepest core, it's about love. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody and nothing. Okay? That's the healing power of love. You already own it. It's inside you. You've been through this for years. You already know all this stuff. You are kind of living by example anyway. But that doesn't mean your everyday 3D life, moment by moment, is easy peasy. And you can just sit around and getting drunk and party every night because life's so great. And it's not like that. It's more about understanding that it's about the sweet. You know, just like Like every now and again, the air might smell really, really sweet and fragrant from some of the local plants or something. I'm just trying to get across the essence of what I'm feeling here. About the beauty, about the love that's already there. All right? Thank you, Tina. Okay, we're going to clear this up here. Wrap it up, folks. And we will gather again soon, I hope. So, Tina, I hope that made sense to you in some way, and you can sleep well, knowing that you had a decent reading from TL. Alrighty, here we go. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. Thank you, Tina. So, on that note, we're going to wrap it up here. I'm sorry I couldn't help you live real time at this moment, Purva, but maybe we'll see you again. Just as a reference, Purva, I'm going to show you the TarotLumination website. You can go to TarotLumination.com. This is what it looks like. You can go to the donate page, click the donate button, swipe a card, and basically book a mini reading. You can book a really big reading if you want to. Check the readings out and so on and so on. But it's up to you. Okay, I just wanted to show you that. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to my Astrodoodle rants. Kind of can't help myself. And thanks for letting me do these private mini readings for you. I love doing all this stuff. So we're going to check out and wish everybody a good night. I'm going to play some music for a while in case anybody wants to chat in the chat. And there we go. What's going on? Clickety clickety click. It gets so freaking complicated over here. Okay.